This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 12, and it reads, "For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them the corruption of life. For neither were they from the beginning, neither shall they be forever. For by the vainglory of men they enter into the world, and therefore shall they come shortly to an end." Barakateh Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rechakwadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles who labor faithfully in this truth, the true teachers of Israel today. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, Habayath Madawadada, house of David, the brothers laboring to make their calling of election sure. To you I say Shalom, and to the Akim and Akwafim, who also listen and believe on Hamashiach Yahushai, to you I say Shalom as well. This is Brother Sagalai coming back with a quick lesson through the spirit and power of the Most High Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rechakwadash. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying for those that have eyes to see and ears to hear through the Rechakwadash, which is the Holy Spirit. So I'm going to jump into it. You know, this video is centered around the article that you see here from hot97.com, and it's dated December 22, 2020. And as you can see, the title is LeBron James gets called out to take the COVID-19 vaccine by the Surgeon General. So we see the push here, you know, in Babylon the Great is going and now being centered, you know, around the idols of Babylon the Great. So these idols, you know, consist of many things, but one of the main idols that's here in Babylon the Great and around the world is the worship of men, the idol worship of men. You know, to worship men as deities and to put men on a high pedestal. That's also known as spiritual fornication and idol worship. So I started in the book of Wisdom of Solomon. I'm going to read a little bit out of Wisdom of Solomon 14. But I started in verse 12. But I'm going to go back to verse 11. So I'm gonna go back to verse 11 real quick and read from there on down. So this is Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 11. It says, "Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles, which are the other nations, shall there be a visitation." So the Lord is coming back to destroy and do away with all the worship of idols. You know, whether there is idol worship in whatever nation there is, whether it's people, whether it's figurines, statues, etc. You know, because all the gods are no gods, the scriptures say. It says, "Because in the creature of the Most High, they are become an abomination." So these idol worship of men are and have become an abomination before the eyes of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, which is, you know, the fame and all of the attention and all of the acclaim and fortune and power that these men possess, whether they are, you know, a rapper, a basketball player, you know, any other athlete, football player, a movie star, whatever profession, it doesn't matter, a comedian, etc. You know, these men get put on a high pedestal, and they're looked at as deities and gods, you know, here on the earth, because people worship them, they praise them, they follow their every move, they listen to everything they say, anything that's said by someone, you know, with great popularity and you know, a very big fan base, many followers. You know, that's always exalted to the clouds. The scriptures tell us, when a rich man speak, you know, every man hold his tongue and hear what he saith and extol it to the clouds. Meaning anything that a man of great influence that's either rich with money and resources and or, you know, political clout, you know, or the clout given of men, which is once again in these days having great followers, you know, great masses of followers. You know, these people are worshipped. So when you go back to Wisdom of Solomon, you know, and you read chapter 14 and verse 11, it says, "There shall be a visitation, because in the creature of the Most High, they are becoming an abomination." So this is an abomination before the eyes of the Most High. to be worshiping men, putting men on a high pedestal. These men are supposed to be projecting the truth. The only men that the Lord look at with any form of admiration and respect and honor is the men of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, those that are coming in the spirit and power of the Most High and proclaiming His truth. Those are the men that the Most High look at as respectable and honorable and righteous. And those are the only men, through the Spirit that are going to be able to teach the 1/3 that's going to be able to come back to this truth and ultimately get salvation, So now, Wisdom of Solomon 11, it says, they are becoming abomination, these men and all the idols, and stumbling blocks to the souls of men. Because, that worship of these men is going to be a stumbling block to many people. And that stumbling block is going to be that this idol worshiping is about to be pushed, that the idols of Babylon would go out and start taking, the maxine to continue to push the energy of going and receiving, the actual inoculation, the shot, and then pushing people to go and ultimately take the chip, because all roads lead to the mark of the beast. That's one of the last end time prophecies. It's going to bring forth, Jacob's trouble and more of the wrath of the Most High, and ultimately the missiles. So these things, the Bible says, Wisdom of Solomon 14:11, are stumbling blocks to the souls of men and a snare to the feet of the unwise. And who are the unwise? 2/3 of our people are unwise. Because the Lord says that our people are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge, meaning they're unwise. The scriptures say that, that our people are sottish children, which means stupid, which means they're unwise. The scriptures also say that Hosea 4:6, that our people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, meaning they are unwise. So the unwise is speaking about the 2/3, the heathen and the wicked. Verse 12, for the devising of idols, pushing forth idol worship, was the beginning of spiritual fornication. So that was the beginning, of spiritual fornication being pushed heavily in the earth. And now we see it in the form of, once again, these top-notch athletes, entertainers, etc. And the invention of them, the corruption of life. For neither were they there from the beginning, neither shall they be forever. So none of this idol worshiping is going to be set up in the kingdom. It's going to be destroyed. It says, by the vainglory of men. See, this is all about vainglory. Because them wanting to push LeBron James, I'll get to the article in a second, them wanting to push LeBron James to take the chip, the jab is going to be the same reason why they're going to use LeBron and many others to push forth taking the chip. So them using him to push forth, the vaccine, being okay to take, because they know people are going to say, well, if LeBron do it, then it must be okay. Once again, that's idol worshiping. And these are the things that are unwise, that the unwise of our people are going to follow. And that's that stumbling block and that snare that's going to trap the souls of 2/3 of our people. So let's go ahead, continue on. It says, Wisdom of Solomon 14, in 14, it says, by the vainglory of men, they entered into the world. And the vainglory is going into having worldly acclaim, stature in the world. And therefore shall they come shortly to an end. So all of this worship, idol worship, is going to come shortly to an end. Because the Most High is seeing this, and the Most High is already, aligning the elect day by day to receive this truth and to stand against wickedness. The elect are doing that. The elect are hearing, and coming back to this understanding, and most importantly, coming back to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Now, why is that important? Some of these, other, stars, of heaven, the scriptures talk about the stars of heaven are going to fall. This is going to be the push for that. This is going to be the push for the Most High to start putting more and more of these entertainers and athletes to death. And we know a lot of them got people like Oprah, Floyd Mayweather, Ice Cube, Michael Jordan, T.I., 50 Cent, Denzel Washington, Beyonce, Jay-Z, you know. Then you got another list, the so-called distinguished of Jake, the Cornel West of the world, the Umar Johnsons, the Bob Johnsons, the Al Sharptons, and the Jesse Jacksons. You know, that's another category of our people. Then you got, the top of the through crew, which are the fake pastors and the false prophets. T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar, even going into some of the Edomite ones like Paula White, Dr. Oz, people on TV that people look up to. What was this other guy? Not only Dr. Oz, but Dr. Phil, people like that. So all of these idols are going to be destroyed. Now, when you go to the book, we should get another precept or two. When you go into the Bible, Revelation 16, Revelation 19, and Revelation 20, and I'll get a few precepts real quick. It speaks of the false prophet. So the false prophet is the Christian church, the Catholic church, and down to the Christian church. Catholics, Protestants, Presbyterians, Holiness, Adventists, all the different forms of Christianity, non-denominational or not. Doesn't matter if they're, have a denomination or not. All of it is under the arm of Christianity, which comes from Roman Catholicism, which is known in the Bible as the false prophet. So like Revelation 16 and 13, it says, it goes into the 3 unclean spirits, and at the end of that, it speaks about the mouth of the false prophet. So it says, I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. So the false prophet is one of those 3 major stronghold unclean spirits is on the earth that's being pushed here in Babylon. And the false prophet, once again, is the Roman church, the Roman Catholic Church, down to the Christian church, which has that stronghold over the earth, which the Pope would be a main player in, the voice of the mouth of the false prophet. Revelation 19 and 20, it says, and the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him. It says, with which he deceived them that had the mark of the beast, and them that worship his image. So this is all really being pushed by Babylon the Great and the false prophet, which is to push to get Jake to take the chip, which is first take the inoculation. Take the vaccine. You take the vaccine, then you are primed to take the chip through predictive programming, mind manipulation. This is what's being used in order to steer 2/3 of our people into destruction and degradation. Now, why is it important? When you go to Revelation 20 and 20, it says, well, let me finish up. Revelation 19 and 20 says, those both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. So the false prophet, the church, the Christian church, the Catholic church, the biggest deceivers on the planet, they're going to be destroyed. So they are all in cahoots and behind pushing forth idol worshiping to get Jake to do what? To be deceived, to fall into line with taking the chip. Revelation 20 and 10, it says, and the devil who deceived them was cast into the lake of fire, Esau, Edom. It says, in brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. So the beast and the false prophet, once again, the church, the Catholic and Christian church, all comprise the false prophet, which are the liars that's pushing forth the propaganda to the people of white Jesus, white angels, that, the Israelites are done away with, the true people, that the so-called Israelis, the Ashkenaz Jews, the Amalekites are the people of God, when that's not so. Revelation 2:9 and 3:9 says, I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, they the synagogue of Satan. Once again, going into the fact of who the true Israelites are. The true Israelites are those that are awakening on the 4 corners of the earth, pertaining to Ezekiel the 37th chapter and Revelation 11 chapter. So, the false prophet is doing everything but giving the people the truth. Now, why is that important? I got an article here that goes into that. And I want to touch on that real quick. So I got this article here that I'm going to read after we get into this article. It says LeBron James gets called out to take the COVID-19 vaccine by the Surgeon General. So it says LeBron James has become the center of the U.S. Surgeon General Jerome Adams' attention lately. During an interview, Adams called out James and asked him to take the vaccine. LeBron James, I know you've been a big supporter of masks. I want to know when you're going to take the shot. Not the basket shot, but the vaccine shot. He continued, because I did it, because I know it's safe, and we want to make sure people understand this is how we end the pandemic, which is the so-called pandemic. I think that's how we promote confidence, and we want people to lead by example. As of now, LeBron has yet to respond to his request. Now, because the heat's not on, so LeBron hasn't responded to the request because the heat ain't on. Now, when the heat is on, eventually you'll have all of these celebrities and entertainers pushing forth not just to take the vaccine, but to take the chip. When all of these people's riches, is up in the air because the economy has crashed, then they'll be pushing forth that energy. And that may be to take another, vaccine down the road, but ultimately it's going to be to take the mark of the beast in Revelation 13. That mark that's going to take to be able to buy and sell. Now, in this article that I got some stats. If you just look it up, there are a few stats. And these stats are pretty staggering because it goes into, the so-called Christian church, and I wanted to share that real quick. When you look up the Christian church, how many Christians are on the planet, there's about 2.5 billion people that register, as Christians, or have come out and proclaim that they believe in Christianity. That's either the Roman Catholic Church down to the Christian church, which shows that they are the false prophet, the ones that is the biggest deceivers on the planet. The Bible is speaking about over and over again. That's going to be destroyed. That strong arm is going to be destroyed. Now, why is that important? Because in these stats, check it out. 600 million, Christians make Latin America their home. 600 million. Now, of that number, another 600 million call Africa home. And then in Asia, over 400 million call Asia home. Asia Major and Minor, and then even going to the island nations. In Europe, 500 million, or 1/4 of the global population of that call themselves Christian. 1/4 of Christians, about 1 in 4 reside in Europe, which is the stronghold of the Edomites, the so-called Dutch, French, English, Spanish, Portuguese. These are all Edomites. Now, I find that very striking because, once again, as of 2019, there's been an estimated 2.5 billion people that identify as Catholic and Christian. 78% of the population in America, go under that, under that understanding of being a Christian. 78% of Americans, 90% of Brazilians, and 95% of so-called Mexicans. These are all strongholds of Israelites, of the tribes, So that shows you the push. So these idols are going to be pushing to the Israelites through the false prophet to take the vaccine and ultimately take the chip. Now, when you go to Oceania and even more of the island nations in the South Pacific, the Philippines, Hawaii, in the South Pacific, another 25 million people believe and call themselves Christians, So that shows you that the false prophet has a very, very great hold onto our people, and is pushing this propaganda to the Israelites to take the vaccine. So I just wanted to give that update, just going to the fact that now you're seeing these so-called, entertainers and athletes being being pushed, being coerced into, trying to get our people to come out and take the vaccine. And there's going to be a greater push as we come into the crashing of the economy, and then ultimately, the implementation of the mark of the beast, which is the RFID chip, and then from there, we'll be at the very end of this thing, because by that time, the Lord's going to be protecting the elect and preserving them, and the coming of Hamashiach Yahushua is going to be imminent. So with that, I hope that was edifying. Call Halo Yamlah, Allah Hayanawa Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua, Ba'ashim Rechakwadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles who labor faithfully in His truth, and are the true teachers of Israel today. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. The brothers is laboring on the four corners of the earth to make their calling of election sure. To you, I say shalom. And to the Akim and Akwafim who also listen and believe on Mashiach Yahushua, to you, I say shalom as well. Shalom.